Hey, what's up? It's Jared with State of Tech. Today we're going to talk about cases for the Galaxy S20 Ultra. I have a whole bunch of cases, so we're going to try to go through these quickly. I've spent the last week or so with this phone. We actually just got back from Disneyland as a family, and I utilize this phone as my main camera for taking pictures and video clips, so I have a lot of opinions on how this actually works in the real world in a situation like Disneyland, where there's lots of things going on, lots of opportunities, and it really stretches a camera's ability to capture focus and all these different things. So in a video soon, I will talk about that. So make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. So we're going to talk about cases in this video and what I think are some good cases and maybe some not so good ones. Typically, I get sent a lot of cases for phones because I have a YouTube channel like this. Sometimes I go and buy a case because it's a particular case that I really like. And that is the situation here. I have some cases that I have bought and some that were sent to me. But none of the companies that I'm going to talk about today have sponsored this video or have any say over what goes on in this video. This is my opinion, and I'm here to share these cases with you. All of these cases can be purchased off of Amazon. All of them I have looked up the pricing on. Some of them are a little bit more expensive. Many of them are pretty cheap in price. So I'll talk about that as I go through the review here. So typically the first thing that I do myself is look for cases. Even though I do really like the way that a phone feels, I'm always afraid that the phone is going to get dinged or scratched or something's going to happen. I have 4 kids, I have an active lifestyle, and so a lot of times I just need some protection on my phone. And even though it adds a little bulk and heft to a phone that is already a thick boy, I definitely want to add a case to it just to be safe. So we're going to start just in my stack, no particular order here. I have a bunch of cases and we're just going to go through them. So the first case is from UAG, and it is their Civilian Series case, and I really like the Civilian Series case. It's a good looking case, it has nice little accents on it, and it fits the phone really well. So we snap the phone in and it just looks really nice. It covers the camera bump on the back, which I've noticed not a lot of cases do. Some of the thinner cases leave the camera bump protruding, which definitely allows it the opportunity to be scratched. There's a little bit of coverage up here on the top for face down protection, but of course, because the sides of the phone, the edges are still really close to the side, it's not as like previous versions of the phone, but they still leave that kind of cut out so that you can edge access the phone and take advantage of those features. So the UAG Civilian Series case here comes in a couple of different colors with different accents and stuff. It's just a really nice case. They have different phone cases. A lot of them are kind of bulky and really offer a lot of protection, but I really like this Civilian Series case. It's pretty nice. So next we're going to look at a SPIGEN case. This is the Tough Armor case, and so we'll go ahead and pull that out of the box here and slide it out. Now, the Tough Armor case has some protection on the inside, just something not kind of soft, so it's not rubbing up against some hard plastic. A lot of times you can actually scratch your phone by the inside of the case, just so you get a little bit of debris in there. So let's pop the phone in and see what we've got. So the first thing I notice is that there is like a little kickstand on the back. It's durable, but it is kind of floppy. I'm not a fan of the little kickstand. I know some people are, because you can kind of tilt your phone up and just on a tabletop and watch a show or something like that. I like the buttons on this. The case feels pretty good. It has kind of like a plastic and then a softer edges to the top and the bottom, so it does feel pretty good in the hand. I do like the fact, one thing I've noticed with this phone and other phones that have all their buttons on one side, is that it is kind of hard to know which button is which. That was the situation that I kind of had with the Urban Armor at first, until I realized that there is a little bit of a difference. It's not as noticeable, but this particular case has a noticeable difference here, so you can actually feel for that button without having to look at it and know where your lock button is, and then your volume buttons, of course, are above that. Kind of little details that I like. I'm not a fan of the kickstand. I feel like it's just going to fill up with lint from a pocket and stuff like that. But overall, this case is pretty decent. So let's set it aside, and we're going to move on to the COMMUTER case by OTTERBOX. OTTERBOX has always made some decent cases, typically kind of bigger cases. This particular case is a two-part case, so it has a inner and an outer. So we're going to go ahead and take that and just put the phone in it, and then we'll snap the outer. So I apologize if I'm going a little fast. I have gotten complaints in the past that my case videos are a little too long, so I'm trying to go as quickly as I can without skipping over too much. And a lot of cases are really going to come down to your particular style, what you like. I think what I like to do when it comes to looking for new cases is just to get a feel for the options that are out there. A lot of these cases do look really good in photos, but then when you get them in the hand, they're not really that good. So this case is pretty decent, a lot to it. It definitely adds a bit to the phone. None of the buttons are identifiably different, but you can tell because of the gap between them here that your lock button is there and your volume buttons are a little bit higher, and so they also have good responsiveness. There is a flappy door down at the bottom for your charging port, which I know is good to keep the water out of it, even though this is a phone that is pretty well water resistant, but I'm not a fan of the flappy door because it always gets caught. Plus, I end up kind of like playing with it and then it ends up ripping off. So I'm not a fan of that, but I think it is good because it does keep dust and dirt from getting in there. And if you are in an environment where dust and dirt may potentially get into that port, and then you're plugging a plug in and out of there, that scratches things up and eventually will kind of wear out the USB-C port on your phone. So I think that that is an important feature. It's just not a feature that I really like. There is a lot of protection around the back of the phone, around the camera hump, and definitely a decent case indeed. It's going to provide a lot of protection, and I think this is probably the most protective case we're going to look at as far as the coverage of the phone goes. So let's move on to the SPECK Presidio grip. This is a case that's been around for ages, and I absolutely love it. I end up buying this case just about for every phone that I own because it's just a nice case. It has a nice gripability to it. And often when I'm like in the car driving, I've got my phone sitting on, the center console or whatever, and just the grippiness of this case holds it from sliding around. Sometimes I'll be like sitting on the couch, I'll have the phone just on my leg, and the grippiness of the case keeps the phone from slipping around. Most of these other cases are pretty smooth and the phone is just going to slide around a lot. So the Presidio grip is always a go-to case for me. It has been just a kind of gold standard. It is just thick enough that the camera bump has a little bit of bump down protection. Kind of funny. I always say like face down protection. Now we've got to talk about camera hump down protection. But there is a little bit of protection on the top here. Definitely not a whole lot. This is definitely a slimmer case in comparison to some of the others, but it does feel really good. The Presidio grip is always just a good case. If you're afraid of your phone being kind of slippery and getting out of your hand, even though this is a large phone and there's a lot to hold on to here, the Presidio grip is definitely going to be your option, and it does come in a lot of different colors and is definitely a case that I always end up using. Like I usually say, but I think I forgot to say so far, all of the links to these cases are down in the description below for you to check out. Clicking on those links supports the channel here. Of course, there's no cost to you. They are Amazon affiliate links, and they help support the channel when you click on them. All right, so this case, now we're starting to get into some kind of more specialty things that are a little bit different. This case is called the PLESON case, and this is the hybrid slim fit case. Of course, there is no real name to this case, but it does have something a little different, even though it says S11 Plus on the inside of it, which, nope. We have a little ring on the back for you to hold on to if you can actually get it. There we go. You can get it out of there. So with a phone this large, it may make sense for you to have a different way to hold on to it, and having the ring on the back of the phone so that you can hold it is definitely kind of nice. Now, I see a lot of people with pop sockets and different stuff like that on the back of their phone, and it definitely adds a bit of, you can't lay your phone down flat. Now, this case, you can't really lay down flat either because it does have that ring there, but it is more molded into the case and it's more of a part of the case. It does actually rotate, and it kind of clicks and locks into place as well, so that you can hold the phone at any angle and it's not just going to flop around on you. So I do like this. It's definitely not necessarily for me to have like something protruding off the back of my phone, but I have always liked the idea of having a way to better hold on to my phone. That was interesting. To hold on to my phone, you can kind of get it at an angle. Right now it's like maybe at a 45-degree angle. So I feel really secure holding my phone like this, which is nice. Now I'm not going to drop my phone even if it's loose, or if I'm running or something and maybe I'm holding my phone, I'm out on a run. I feel much more secure holding my phone this way, instead of putting it in a pocket where it can fall out or anything like that. So I do like that about this case, and it has a nice feel to it. It is a little slick, but we don't necessarily need the grippiness because we've got a way to hold on to the phone on the back, and so I do like that. Now the buttons are protruding just a little bit so that you can tell that they are there, and you're not going to mistake your volume buttons for your power button and all that good stuff. There is not a whole lot of face-down protection, very little lip on the top and bottom, and then of course no lip on the sides, so that you have that edge use still there. So I don't know, I kind of like this phone case, but I don't know. I don't know if I would use this that much. Maybe it's just because I haven't gotten the practice of using it, and I typically am holding my phone pretty securely. So I don't know. It's up to you. If you like that, definitely this is a decent case for you to try out. Even though it says S11 Plus on it, and this is not even a Plus, it's definitely not an S11. But hey, that's what happens with some of these case manufacturers when they come out with products a little too far in advance. So let's move on to another one. We have the MOFI, I think it is, MOFI case. This does not have any other identifying marks on it, but we'll talk about the case, and I'll link to it below for you. So this case I liked because it has a nice finish on the back. It's not a plastic, it has kind of like a cloth finish on the back, and a little, probably fake leather logo on the back. I liked this case when I saw it because it just added a little bit of sophistication. All the cases that I typically get are black. A lot of them do come in different colors, and of course you can see all those colors if you click on the link below. You can see what is available on Amazon. But what I do like about this case is that it adds a little, it kind of dresses the phone up a little bit, and I like that about this case. It's a very slim case, so it does not add a whole lot of top and bottom protection. The camera bump has just a little bit of protection from around the edge of the case, but it is a very minimal case. But I love the feel on the back of this. It's not, super high end. It kind of feels like maybe a cloth seat in a car, but it does have a nice feel to it, or maybe even like a nice bag. But I really do like the feel of this case. So this MOFI case definitely doesn't have, the best branding or whatnot, doesn't really have a name that was identifiable on the packaging, but I really like this case. Nice slim fit, corner protection, even has a little, two little holes here so that you can add a little lanyard if you wanted to. I don't believe that it came with a lanyard, but you could definitely add that. Some of these other cases that I've seen, not these cases that we've looked at so far, but some of them have like a little lanyard cut out for you. When you're dealing with a phone this big, maybe it would be nice to have a little bit of a lanyard just to make sure that you don't drop the phone. But of course, there's this case that has the loop on the back. All right, moving right through, we've got a case from TORRAS. TORRAS has cases for a lot of different phones, and we've looked at their cases on this channel before, and we're going to take a look at their slim case for the S20. Now, this case I like because it has kind of a smoked back to it. It has, some decent support around the edges. It has the little holes for a lanyard, but it has kind of a smoked back cover for it. So you can kind of see some of the aspects of your phone still and not worry about, the dust that typically will show up in a case that is totally clear. So I do like, you can't really see through the phone. I could barely see the word Samsung on the back, but this case feels really nice. It's very smooth, very soft, and of course the buttons are just identifiable enough to be able to get to them without any button confusion. There is some protection for the camera hump, but the protection comes from the four corners, not necessarily from the back of the case. So I do like that about this case, because that means that the camera hump is still like identifiable, it's still there, very clear, easy to see, but it's still protected with the different edges around the corners of the case, which I do like. The front protection, a little bit of protection on the top and the bottom. Of course, no protection on the side. Most cases for all of these Samsung phones for a number of years haven't had any protection on the side because of the edge features of the cases. So not a bad case at all. I definitely like the way that it feels. It has a good look to it. All the ports are cut out well. Everything looks decent about this case. All right, so the next case that we're going to look at is this clear case from SUPCASE. And SUPCASE makes a lot of cases for a lot of phones, a lot of different styles, but this one is clear on the back, and so we can see our phone. Of course, it has decent protection all the way around, top and bottom protection, none on the sides. It has a little bit of identification on the sides for the buttons. There's plus and minus here, and then of course a little bit of knurling so that you could feel with your fingertip where that lock button is. It has good protection for the camera hump. Of course, it protrudes just a little bit, but the edges of the back of the case kind of stick down just a little bit, enough to add protection for that camera hump. So this SUPCASE is pretty decent. It's definitely a nice case. It feels good. If you're wanting a case that has a clear back, this is definitely an option for you to choose. Check out the links in the description below. All right, so now we're going to move into some heftier cases. These cases are definitely not my style, but I know that a lot of people are interested in them. So once I get rid of all of the crazy stuff that came inside of this case by a company called FYY, including fake credit cards for the credit card slot, because this is a pretty intense wallet case. So we're going to throw the phone in here, and this is normally not a case that I even look at. But my wife suggested that I do, because lots of people do like these wallet cases. All right, so we have a magnet clasp. The case is fairly thick now because of the fact that the phone is thick, and the case is definitely thick as well. It's a wallet case with a couple of different slots here. Of course, a big slot on the back, and then you can kind of fold it down so that you can stand the phone up and actually just utilize it that way for viewing media and whatnot. I definitely like that about the case. The phone can kind of sit at any angle. The case does a good job of allowing it to sit at a multitude of different angles. Even though I'm kind of wobbling things around here, it still sits. So I'm impressed by that. So plenty of wallet slots for cards and whatnot. The magnetic clasp does a pretty good job. You know, it holds okay. It's not super tight, but it's very nice that it does hold, and it's going to keep your stuff from flopping down. Of course, if I fold this all the way around, there is a lot to hold on to here. This is fairly thick, and of course, if you're going to go with a wallet case, you're going to get that. There's a lot of thickness to be had here. The case itself that the phone slips into is nothing to get excited about. It's fairly basic. The buttons are there and accessible, but there's really no identification. They all kind of feel the same. You just kind of have to get used to where they are. But overall, I mean, this is not bad. It's definitely not the highest end product that's out there. I'm sure that there are better ones, but for the price, you really can't go wrong here. So now we are going to look at one more here. This one is another case from FYY. Slightly different design, but of course very similar to the one that we looked at just before. So let's get all of the crazy stuff out of it. And so the main differences in this case are just the interior style is a little bit different and the exterior style is a bit different. This is for 6.9-inch 2020, which is what's printed in there. So props to them for getting the size of the phone right, but not trying to figure out what the name of the phone was going to be, probably because this case was designed before the official launch. So same nice little clasp here. Good protection all the way around the phone just because the case is so large. A little bit of style added for flair, but that is it. So let me know what your favorite case was down in the comment section below. below. Maybe you have a different case that is your favorite and you would love for me to check that out. Definitely share that with me down below. Let me know the name of it so I could search it out. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks so much for checking it out. I hope that I helped you find a case for your Galaxy S20 Ultra. And if I did, click on that link to help support the channel here. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. And we'll make sure to put out some new videos for you as often as possible. We just love having you here. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you back in the next one. Take care.